8/13/2023. Bow season's coming. Yes, it is. Well, anyway, I'm going to be shooting Meatseekers. I've shot them before. Now, these are Chinese knockoffs. They're not quite as good as the factory version, but they're a whole lot cheaper. And there's a few things you need to know here about these little jewels. One, don't depend on this dental band for braces or whatever they got holding it on there with. I'm going to talk to you about this little thing. Alright? This is a high angle, low profile, open on impact broadhead. Now I like high angle broadheads because the more it cuts, and instead of being straight out and trying to slide through, I like mine to slice. When they slice, they just blow through them generally. It has a steel head. You have a bolt for each one of these blades. Now, you need to check, make sure these bolts are in there good. The older ones, sometimes they get the bolt stuck in there sideways and things like that. Now this blade, these things do come apart right here. So when you're putting them on your bow, you want to make sure that this little silver part is tight to this little black part, because if not, you leave this loose and you're going to have a lot of wobble, because this thing's loose right here, and it's real easy to do. Most people don't think about all the parts or components that are in your broadhead, but you want to make sure that that little ring right there, that little silver part, is tight. Now I make a modification here. Now I said right off the bat, first thing you want to do is get rid of these, because these things get old real quick. They're not strong enough. If you're shooting a crossbow or something real powerful, this broadhead will go ahead and open on you prematurely, and that shot's lost. You're gonna, unless he's right underneath you, you're gonna lose that one. So I modify it with a seal that I'll get from Ace or a hardware store of some kind, and they're tricky to get on. You may need a toothpick or something a little stronger than a toothpick, like a small screwdriver. Now be careful, these blades are sharp. They're pretty sharp, and it's kind of tricky. And when they don't close up like they should, this broadhead should actually be laying flat. But on these knockoffs, as you can see, they're not going to lay flat. They're going to be up just a little bit like that. Okay? But they're still not grabbing much wind. They're not dragging you down. They're very, very accurate broadhead. This is a 100-grain broadhead, and I tightened it down. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the little ring on it, the little silver part. I'm going to show you. You can tighten this piece, and then you need to tighten this insert. That's your mechanical part right there. Now the older ones I got, they have a Phillips head bolts that hold the blade in, and that'll get rid of a lot of the looseness. You'll still have a little bit of looseness, but the rubber band will keep that in check. But if you don't tighten this little silver part, when this thing does hit the deer, that thing's going to be floating around a little bit, because it's going to be loose up here in these threads. Now this thing's going to hit, and when it hits, it's going to go from, let me see if I can get it up there right where you can see it. Since this one's already partially not allowing it to completely close. You're going to start out with about 7/8 of an inch broadhead, maybe not quite, maybe 5/8. And this thing is going to hit your target, and it's going to go to that. Goes from that to that, that to that, that to that. And if you push on it real hard, it really opens up. And that's almost 2 inches. It's a 3-blade broadhead. High angle. So when it hits, it's going to be cutting, not driving sideways through there like a lot of these mechanicals do. They got too steep. Now the only time this is going to get steep is once it's in. It ain't going to just blow open right away. It's still going to keep the blades pushed back and against the friction. So it's probably going to open up about 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. I think it's rated for 2. I like the extra blade, especially with that much cut. I like the accuracy. I like the bone breaker type tip that it has on it. I like the weight, 100 grains. Sometimes I don't like to shoot the heaviest arrow in the world, but I like accuracy. Now the company that makes this broadhead, makes the Meatseeker, builds them a little bit better than this, and they're a lot more expensive. I think it's Trophy Ridge, if I remember right. But they also make the Mini Blaster and the Wolverine and the Blaster and all those broadheads. So I started out with their broadheads using a Wolverine. Now Wolverine is a 65 grain broadhead or a 75 grain broadhead. I think the Mini Blasters are 75 grains. And I was shooting 3D archery, shooting about 70 pounds, trying to keep my arrows down around 350, running the IBO, trying to score some points. And I started shooting the Trophy Ridge stuff and found out they're probably about as accurate as you get. You just go straight from a field point, put them on, and you're ready to go hunting with your 3D setup. You can build your hunting arrows just like your 3D arrows, and you can reach out there and kiss them. So anyway, this is not a review. This is just a little bit of advice on if you are going to shoot a Meatseeker, what to watch out for. If you're going to shoot any kind of mechanical broadhead that's using rubber bands, these little rubber bands here, toss them and go get you some seals. Now it might not hurt me to get a little bit looser seals since these ain't closing up as good as they should. But I'm pretty sure they're about $35 a 3-pack. I paid $25 for a dozen. These little things are about $1 probably nowadays, as high as prices are. But this right here, and they don't rot on you. They don't just sit out there for a couple weeks and go bad on you if you expose them to a little bit of the elements. They tend to last a little longer. They're stronger, and they pretty much prevent premature opening. And like I said, everything I shot with one of these has been a pass-through except for one that I shot her right through the front leg, and it come out on the front leg on both sides, went through both of her shoulders, and it made it out, and it was sticking about 1 inch out, poking on the skin, but it didn't get through the skin. So the skin kind of trampolined it, I guess, stopped it there when it was coming out. Of course, the point was probably all tore up. The blades are probably all tore up, but it was completely through the deer. Deer only went about 25, 30 yards. That's another thing I like about them. When you shoot them with these, and you hit them decent, they don't be running very far. So anyway, God bless in the 405. I pray God bless your bow season this year. Get you the funnest bow season ever, with the most adventures and fun times, so that it will give you more experience after this year. So I hope you have a better year than last year, and if it's the best year you've ever had, I hope that for you too. And we're getting ready to go bow hunting. That's what we do. Later.